Intimidator bird deterrents. The most common question we get asked is, Mr. Intimidator, where's the proper place on a house where we should be placing these products? Well, as you can see by my crude drawing here, this is a house, a residential house. The most common areas on houses where birds, namely woodpeckers, like to attack is towards the top areas here. This is going to be some of the most common areas here and up and down these rake boards on the fascia. Every once in a while you'll get some down here. Depending on proper sun placement, if this is the south side, east or west side, you're going to get the sun going back and forth. If you place one up here, you're more than likely going to be getting proper coverage and placement of this whole area surrounding. Now, more sun, the closer the sun is, the more it's going to shine off the product and onto the structure itself. Most houses, 2 or 3 stories tall, we'll place them on these areas here, which should give you full coverage here and here. Coming in from here, here, and here, dispersing. If you happen to get a woodpecker or other bird that's going to be lower on the house towards the middle or bottom, then on these areas you could place anywhere depending on where it is. If you can center it and maximize your coverage in that area, you have a happy house and a happy client. Now, on the opposite end of the house, where the soffits overhang, like here, think of this as the opposite end of this house. This is where you typically put a ladder up by the gutter system. You have your roof, you have your gutters, and then the fascia board running directly underneath. You'll typically have a small 1 inch or so exposed area of fascia. These are where we like to attach the points of the deterrents to. And we'll, from those points, be able to get all this coverage area, which is typically where they like hanging out in these areas. Now again, you can go lower, just like on the happy house, if you wish to go lower. Look at a side view of it. Here's the gutter, here's the soffit, here's the siding. Say you have woodpeckers that are hanging up over here, you're not going to want to put it out here, because the bracket's too short. You're missing all that Mr. Sun here isn't going to be hitting directly onto the deterrent itself. Which is why, again, in most cases, not all, you attach it right here below the gutter line. That bracket is specifically made to jet out farther than the gutter line and hang here to where you're going to get those sun rays beating down on it and dispersing it amongst that siding. Now let's say Mr. Sun is way back here. Well, you're not going to be getting it where your deterrent is here. Those sun rays will come just slightly over. If you happen to have a tree or a post or something close by, you can hang the deterrent off of this and it'll deflect the sun rays as shown. So it's all about proper placement in conjunction with where the sun is and the season. We're based out of Minnesota, to where right now in the cold winter season, north sides of the houses do not get that much sun. So we have to improvise by putting it on different areas to deflect off of that and hit the desired spots. So underneath the gutter lines, get you that whole siding underneath the soffits. North side, south side, it won't hit down here, but you can deflect it and refract the sunlight, just like a mirror, off of that onto the desired siding and areas. Gabled ends of the houses, we typically like going as high as we can. Say you only place one down at Mr. Happy House's nose here. Well, if the sun's up above us and it's going down, it's going to be hitting on Mr. Happy House's smiley face. It's not going to be going down and then back up again. So we typically want to hit the highest points on Mr. Happy House's hat or the rake line. And that way we can refract all that sunlight on these areas here. So again, depending on how big, how tall the house is, how wide the house is, where the sun placement is, always aim high so you don't come up short. Now in commercial areas, it's generally just going to be a metal parapet roof where he's attacking these areas over here, and depending on, the length of footage on it, you can put several different areas on there. Now that's going to work fine if the sun's on these three sides, but what if the sun is coming up back here? That is why, similar to making the stem or the bracket of the deterrent long enough to go past that gutter line, and if you need to, you can also pivot it upwards a little bit by bending it slightly. You can do the same here, just bend it ever so slightly to where it's refracting some of that sunlight back down onto it. Sun is still high, even if it's winter time, but it's high back here. So if you place it here instead of down here and bend it ever so slightly, that's still going to refract the sunlight to the desired areas where the woodpeckers are. Now I'm going to walk over to the shop table and show some areas of the differences in the two different types of attachments. One being the standard, most common on wood because they're woodpeckers, residential bracket, which we use regular pole barn or metal roofing screws with neoprene washers on to attach to the bracket into the substrate. Second one being the magnet for the commercial. Now this magnet we get in from a supplier and we attach our brackets to them using a lock nut and a bolt, as seen here. It's only a 1/2 inch bolt, so it's not sticking out any farther than it needs to be to make sure that it's locked on there. Comes inside a handy dandy box. If you wish to buy it separately, already has the hole in the middle. And you take this, put it through the hole, which is hard to do because this is metal and it's a magnet, so bear with me for a moment. And then put on your bracket. Which is hard to do holding this phone. And then put your lock nut onto it and tighten it up with a wrench. As you can see, it's very stout. 70 pounds of pull force on it. So again, for any of those that may have missed, here's the whiteboard, proper placement, scenarios. I hope this helped. Please contact us with any questions. Thank you for purchasing our product.